It's almost hard to believe, but in Niger, the average person is just around 15 years old. That means nearly half of the population is made up of children and teenagers. Imagine walking down the street and seeing mostly school kids, teenagers, hanging out and toddlers playing everywhere you look. That's everyday life in this West African country. Niger has one of the youngest populations in the world, and that fact is shaping everything from education and healthcare to the economy and the country's future. But how did this happen? And what does it really mean for the people living there? In this video, we're breaking it all down. From birth rates to tradition, from economics to geography, here are 10 reasons why Niger is one of the youngest nations on Earth. Number 10. Extremely high birth rate. Let's start with one of the most obvious reasons. Niger has one of the highest birth rates in the world. On average, a woman in Niger gives birth to around 6 or 7 children. That's more than double the global average. In rural areas, this number is often even higher. Having many children is not just common, it's expected and often celebrated. For many families, children are seen as a sign of strength, security, and even wealth. This constant cycle of new births naturally lowers the median age. With so many babies and young children being born every year, the population stays extremely young overall. Number 9. Limited access to family planning. A big part of the high birth rate has to do with limited access to family planning. Many people in Niger either don't have access to contraceptives or don't use them due to cultural beliefs or lack of education about reproductive health. In rural areas, clinics and health centers are hard to reach, and resources are often stretched thin. This makes it difficult for women to space out their pregnancies or decide how many children they want to have. As a result, many families end up growing rapidly, with one child following another in quick succession. Without the tools and support to manage family size, the population naturally trends younger. Number 9. Early marriages. Another reason why Niger's population is so young is because many girls get married at a very young age. In fact, Niger has one of the highest rates of child marriage in the world. It's not unusual for girls to be married by the age of 14 or even younger. Once married, many of these girls start having children right away. This cycle starts early and continues for years, contributing to large families and a steady increase in the number of young people in the country. Early marriage also means that young girls often drop out of school, which limits their options later in life and continues the pattern of early childbearing. Number 7. Cultural and religious traditions. Culture plays a huge role in shaping a nation's demographics. In Niger, traditional values place a high emphasis on family and children. Large families are seen as a source of pride and social status. In many communities, it's believed that having many children is a way to ensure survival, both for the family and for the community. In areas with strong religious beliefs, children are also seen as blessings from a higher power. These cultural and spiritual views make it difficult to promote smaller family sizes, even when resources are limited. People often feel it's their duty to have many children, which keeps the population young. Number 6. Low life expectancy. Niger has one of the lowest life expectancies in the world, which plays a major role in why its population is so young. On average, people in Niger live to around 60 years or less. Many don't reach old age because of widespread health challenges. Poor access to hospitals, lack of trained medical staff, limited vaccination coverage, and high rates of diseases like malaria and respiratory infections all contribute to early deaths. Malnutrition is also common, especially among children and pregnant women. Without strong healthcare systems to help people live longer, the elderly population remains small. This means there are far fewer older adults compared to the huge number of children and teenagers being born every year. Number 5. Poor health infrastructure. Niger struggles with a weak health system. Hospitals are few and far between, especially in rural areas, and many people can't access the medical services they need. This affects maternal health and child health as well. Many women give birth at home without trained professionals. Infant and child mortality rates are high, but the birth rate is still high enough to keep the youth population growing. Health challenges like malaria, respiratory infections, and malnutrition are common. Yet, in spite of all this, families continue to grow. The poor health infrastructure doesn't slow down the birth rate, it just adds to the challenges that young families face. Number 4. Limited education opportunities. In Niger, access to education, especially for girls, is still very limited. Many children never finish primary school, and the number is even lower for those who make it to secondary school. When kids don't have access to education, they're more likely to start working or get married early. Girls in particular are often pulled out of school to help at home or prepare for marriage. Without education, people have fewer opportunities to understand the long-term impact of early marriage or large families. Education is one of the most powerful tools for managing population growth, but in Niger, it remains out of reach for many. Number 3. Rural living and traditional lifestyles. Most people in Niger live in rural areas, far from the city centers. In these villages and farming communities, life is guided by old customs and traditional ways of living. Families often depend on agriculture and livestock for their income. Having more children means having more hands to help with farming, herding, and daily chores. It's practical and necessary for survival. In these settings, raising a big family isn't seen as a problem, it's part of the lifestyle. Urban areas might see slower growth and more access to health and education. But rural Niger continues to grow rapidly, keeping the national average age low. Number 2. Economic challenges. Niger is one of the poorest countries in the world. The economy is largely based on agriculture, which is vulnerable to droughts and changing climate patterns. With limited job opportunities and a weak economy, many families rely on their children to help support the household. In some cases, children start working from a young age. Poverty also makes it harder for people to access education, healthcare, and other services that could lead to smaller, more stable families. Instead, families often grow large as a way to share burdens and increase the chances of survival. Number 1. A nation at a crossroads. And finally, Niger is at a unique point in its history. The country is incredibly young, with nearly 50% of its population under the age of 15. This presents both a major challenge and a huge opportunity. If the government and international partners invest in education, health, and job creation, this youth could become the driving force behind Niger's development. But if those investments don't happen, the country could face serious problems: rising unemployment, strained resources, and a generation left behind. The future of Niger depends entirely on what happens next. Will this young population become its greatest asset or its biggest test? So there you have it, 10 reasons why Niger has one of the youngest populations in the world. From high birth rates and early marriage to poverty and tradition, all of these factors have shaped a nation full of young people. This isn't just about numbers, it's about real lives and the future of an entire country. What happens in Niger over the next few decades could change the lives of millions. If you found this video interesting, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who'd want to learn more, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. There's so much more to explore, and we'd love to have you along for the journey.